Is learning limited ruining your ads? Hey guys, I am Kat Howell, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about a new delivery status warning slash update that Facebook recently rolled out called Learning Limited. So you'll see it here. It shows up at your ad set level as this sort of with this kind of like yellow hazard symbol, which can be pretty disturbing if you've never come across this or aren't sure what to do about this. So what is Facebook trying to tell you here? If you scroll over it, what you'll see is Facebook's basically telling you you're not getting enough leads for it to optimize properly and get out of the learning phase, and this is probably due to not having enough budget, cost cap controls, or the size of your audiences. So what to do about this, right? Is this going to hurt your campaigns and your ads, and should you go and change everything if you're seeing this symbol? Well, before we go into the how to address this, it's important to first understand what the learning phase is. So you'll see here I have an ad set in active, and then I have one in learning. So anytime you launch a new campaign and ad set, you are going to see that the ad sets are in the learning phase. If you make significant edits to the ad set, such as changing the budget or the audience, it will also send it right back into the learning phase. Side note about that, that's why it's kind of important to try to not touch your ad sets until it exits that learning phase, because results can be really volatile during the learning phase. Now you'll see here, Facebook says that it will exit learning phase after about 50 event triggers. So at this ad set, I'm optimizing for completed registration. So Facebook's telling me that after about 50 of those, it will go into active and be a lot more stable in terms of delivery and the results that I'm getting. Now this is kind of a rule of thumb, and I've seen ad sets get out of the learning phase a lot sooner than that. But if you don't have enough data and you don't have enough event triggers, what can happen is that Facebook will show you this learning limited status update. So here's the way to kind of approach this. Now, it's important to understand that if you are running a conversion CBO campaign, so campaign budget optimization campaign, or ABO, so ad set budget optimization, there's different ways of approaching this. So think about it like this. What you're looking at here is a CBO campaign, which means I've set my budget at the campaign level. That was when I told Facebook, here's the budget that I'm willing to spend every day. And then Facebook essentially decides which ad sets it's going to go and spend that money into. It's giving Facebook a lot more freedom. And if you guys have been around in the last year, Facebook was actually saying CBO would be mandatory. They then went back on that. But a lot of us marketers are now using campaign budget optimization. If you're using ad set budget optimization, it means that you're setting your budget at the ad set level. So you're telling Facebook, for example, this ad set here is going to get $10, this one here is going to get $50 a day, and this one here is going to get $100. And Facebook will spend that budget for each ad set. You're reducing the freedom that you're giving Facebook there. A lot of advanced marketers prefer this method because it just gives them a little bit more control. So if you're using campaign budget optimization, such as this one of the first things to help you get out of the learning phase is actually to just spend more money. Give Facebook more money. And if you're at the CBO, if you're running a CBO campaign, you can either one of those. You can either just scale the budget that you're giving Facebook, and as a rule of thumb, you want to spend about 5 times what it's costing you for the event per average. So here you'll see here, it costs us about $14 for a lead. So we should be spending 5 times 14 per day as a baseline, because this is CBO. Now, if this was ad set budget optimization, that rule of thumb would apply at the ad set level. So you would be spending 7 times 5 for this one ad set, and then 18 times 5 for this ad set here. So depending on how much you can scale and what your budget restrictions are, the first thing is to actually just make sure you're giving Facebook enough money. Now, if you don't have big budgets to work with, if you've only got like $20 or $100 a day to play with, the best thing to do is to reduce the number of ad sets that you have. So for example, if you're running a campaign budget optimization campaign, you have $20 a day at the campaign level and then 4 or 5 ad sets in there. Obviously, Facebook's going to be splitting that money between the ad sets, and it's not going to have enough money to really generate the data that it needs to exit that learning phase. So increasing your audience sizes by combining your ad sets is the second best way to get out of the learning phase. Second, to actually just scaling up the spend that you're giving your campaigns or your ad sets. The other thing that you can do is make sure that you're using automatic bidding at your ad set level and don't have any cost cap controls. If you do have cost cap controls, you may need to increase those, because again, it just means Facebook hasn't been able to enter you into enough auctions to get the data that it needs. The other thing that you want to watch out for is that you don't have too many ads in each ad set. So again, the more ads you have, the more the budget gets split up, the longer it takes you to get the data and to optimize things. So as a rule of thumb, if you're playing with smaller budgets like $20 to $200, try to keep it between 2 to 3 ad creatives per ad set, and that should allow you to get the data that you need. This is something to consider if you are running dynamic creative, because of course, if you have lots of different variations of images and copy and all of that, and you only have $5 a day, it's going to take you ages to actually get any meaningful data, and Facebook is probably going to show you this warning, learning limited warning label. And finally, the last thing Facebook recommends in order to get out of learning limited is to optimize for an event earlier on in your funnel. So for example, here we're optimizing for completed registrations. And let's say that the event before that was people viewing the landing page. We could optimize for people viewing the landing page instead of completed registrations, and that would give Facebook a lot more data to get that juicy traction and exit the learning phase. I'm not a big fan of that, and you need to be careful about optimizing for an earlier event, because sometimes that doesn't always yield good sales or cost per leads. So just be very careful about that. And also I would recommend that if you do these kinds of changes, always duplicate the ad set, make the changes, pause the original, and then that way you can always go back to the original ad set that you have in case it doesn't work out. Now, as a rule of thumb across all of this, the most important thing to remember is don't fix what's not broken. If you're getting great results from your campaign and your ad sets, if your cost per lead or cost per sale is acceptable and you've got a good ROAS, but you're seeing learning limited, just ignore it. Don't touch what's not broken is the most important rule in life, in marketing, and certainly in Facebook advertising. Hope this helps, guys.
If you liked this video and found it useful, comment down below to let us know what you'd like to see next. While you're at it, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a Facebook ads marketing tip with Digital Distillery again. See you in our next video.